Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's GeneralTarheel, your coach to the Charmanders, bringing you the APA Season 4 Week 6 battle versus Coach DeathlyiAm and the Seattle Sprinklers, actually. I almost said Josephs there. But coming into Week 6, if you don't know already, our Week 5 match did result in a win against Chimpact and the Philadelphia Scythers. Make sure to check it out if you haven't yet. Unfortunately, Chimpact hasn't uploaded his side yet, so you can't check that out. Same for Elite Four Dan from Week 4, but I know Deathly is uploading his side, so the other coaches don't get to it. At least we have our opponent's side this week. I'm a friend of Tyler. I play Fortnite a lot with him and everything like that. He's a great dude. Last season in APA was his first time in Draft League format, so it's great to have him back for another season. Of course, it's LC this time, so it's a whole new thing to him again, as for most of us, to be completely honest. And he's been doing alright. I believe he has, I think it's just one win under his belt. I think he's just 1-4 up to this point, or something like that. Pretty unfortunate start, but he's a very intimidating team. He's got kind of a Sun roster going on. I know he really wanted Charmander at one point in the draft, but I also really wanted Venipede. So after he sniped me a Venipede, I'm like, I'm not getting rid of my mascot. But either way, going into this, I had some fun sets in mind. And I also had, of course, some normal and serious sets because this team is kind of dangerous. So I'm going to go over a few of them real quick. The first thing is the MVP from last week. I'm going to go over Lickitung. Bringing Cloud9 again, actually, because of his Sun team and Vulpix and Bellsprout. I have Cloud9 Choice Scarf. This was the Adamant Lickitung max attack with 196 in speed to hit 12 speed. This is for it to be able to hit 18 speed with Choice Scarf. With knockoff, Body Slam, Thunder Punch, and Earthquake. And now originally, I had Double Edge over Body Slam. And this was because Double Edge a 1,000,000% knocked out Bellsprout after Stealth Rocks. And then I realized Double Edge isn't compatible with Cloud9 because it's really annoying for Gen 1 Pokemon to have moves like that. I even had one for another Pokemon another week, which I'll get to later on. But that happens next week. But as for Lickitung, I was really just hoping for it to catch Bellsprout off guard so I don't have to worry about that Pokemon. I had a few checks to it, but the main thing is just like Grass and Poison Stab plus Weather Ball is just so good. Like, I've used Weepinbell and I've loved it. Like, or sorry, Weepinbell, Victory Bell. So I know Bellsprout's like a really strong Pokemon in LC, especially with Vulpix and Sun. And Vulpix and Sun is also scary. So I was really intimidated by Sun this game, but you know, I felt like I'd get around it, so I had the Lickitung for that to counter the Bellsprout, basically. As well as to potentially cast like Vulpix off guard, stuff like that, because you'd probably be expecting a bulky Lickitung. So. And next up, to add on to that, I have my Charmander mascot. I have a Charmander holding the Charcoal with Solar Power. Gonna get boosted in the Sun versus his team. I have Fire Blast, Thunder Punch, Flame Charge, and Hinnepower Rock. This actually does a crazy amount versus his team. If he brings Sun, it absolutely like bops everything. Fire Blast and a Thunder Punch knocks out any version of Mantike, unless of course he's Wakanberry. There's nothing I could do about it there if he's Wakan, because I am mixed. A mixed Charmander, let me put it like that. Also special attack invested for Fire Blast and Power Rock. Hidden Power Rock with Solar Power in the Sun allows me to knock out Vulpix after one thing is Stealth Rocks. It does 80 to 100, I believe is the count on that for standard Sun Vulpix or whatever. Apart from that, Charmander really just blows everything back. I would need Chip and stuff like Ball Toy just to make sure I can one-shot in case he's a Spadef Eviole variant. I'd blow back Houndour with Hinnepower Rock. Basically, it just destroys his team if he actually gives me Sun. So he needs to be aware of that. He might not even bring it. As you can see, he didn't bring it. But I was really hoping Charmander could just do so much work this week with Solar Power and stuff like that. But fortunately, it didn't happen. Now I'm going to quickly go over my fun set that I decided to bring. And that was my Cubone. My Cubone was Sub Belly Drum with Salicberry. With Boomerang and Thunder Punch. So this was really cool at the time, because at the time it was Boomerang and Knockoff. And then I realized if he's a max defensive Eviole Mantike, I might not knock him out with knockoff at +6, which is kind of crazy. And I couldn't just rely on Stealth Rock's being up because I want to keep him sweep. So I changed knockoff to Thunder Punch. And then I completely looked over Baltoy because if you can tell, Boomerang plus Thunder Punch doesn't touch Baltoy at all, because Baltoy does have the levitate ability just like Claydol. So kind of overlooked that. So Cubone was gonna have a little bit of problem if you brought Baltoy. I have to make sure I knock that out first for a potential sweep. But I just felt like it'd be fun to have this potential set instead of just, you know, an all-out attacking Cubone, because he could easily revenge it with Bellsprout, an offensive Vulpix. Mantike just comes in freely. I mean, I could probably outspeed and still get Thunder Punch, but it depends if you want to put enough speed to outspeed Cubone, because he could easily have done that. Just things like that I didn't want to risk with Cubone. I kind of just wanted to have fun and try to get this set off. It's one set I've been trying to, like, I've been wanting to try for like the season, so bringing it this week. Next up is our kill team leader in Archon. Not bringing JustKurt this week actually. I want to bring an agility set. I have an agility with Berry Juice, with acrobatics, rock slide, and knockoff. This is hopefully to set up on something kind of weak like his Yamask or anything of the sort. I could also potentially set up on the Bellsprout, as long as there's no rocks up on my side of the field or anything like that. Just trying to get an agility off, make sure I outspeed anything on his team from there on out, and just sweep with acrobatics with rock slide. Knockoff just also helps with the Yamask. Ooh, excuse me. Really just hoping Archon can just kind of weaken the team, not really expecting it to sweep entirely, but if it makes certain needs, then Archon can definitely sweep. Knockoff also helps with the Baltoy. Next up is my Pawniard, of course. I have just a Adamant Life Orb Pawniard with Sucker Punch, Knockoff, Stealth Rock, Brick Break. Brick Break, of course, being there for the Houndour, as my dual stabs do not hit it that well. Stealth Rocks, of course, are going to be pretty nice versus his team, with some of his Sun Pokemon, such as Vulpix and Houndour, and then just getting chip on his team over time, as well as some of his bulky Pokemon in Mantike. So it's a little bit of helpful there, kind of forces a potential spin in his Baltoy that could allow for like my Archon to come in and set up for freely potentially. So there's that. And lastly, I just want to bring my Skirpy. I have a kind of a defensive Spadef Eviolite variant for taking on some of his random stuff like Tyrogue and Helioptile, stuff like that. I have knockoff, Poison Jab, Taunt, Toxic. Taunt's kind of random, but it does help me versus the Yamask or the potential Hazard Stack Venipede, as well as potentially stopping a Roost on the Mantike, stuff like that. So really cool. Skirpy set, pretty nice, helps me out with the little things just to be right there. As for other Pokemon, I didn't want to bring Slowpoke, purely because I felt like it had pretty good counters to it, and like Speed Boost, Venipede, of course Bellsprout just being able to get potentially a free growth off versus it, which would destroy my team. Even though I do have the psychic coverage, I'm scared. And then he also has Houndour, which is also pretty scary because Dark type spam is almost free versus me, considering he does have the Fire type tech for my Pawniard. So a lot of reasons behind that, but as you can see, the 6 he decided to bring was his Yamask, Baltoy, Mantike, Venipede, Helioptile, and Tyrogue. And I was really surprised. No Pokemon under the sun. Like no Vulpix, no Bellsprout, even like no Bellsprout without sun. You really want to bring sun with it, but still. Also no Houndour, so he really doesn't have the best switch into Pawniard, which is kind of interesting. So when I was looking at this, I saw Baltoy, and that's when I realized Cubone eats that thing dead before it does anything. So I was going to lead Cubone either way, see what he was going to potentially go with. I was kind of expecting Venipede. I was hoping just to go for Boomerang versus it and deal with it a little bit easier, because Venipede would most likely be like an annoying lead, even though I did bring Skirpy, because people feel like they could bring those because my hazard removal is kind of on the offensive side and Archon and Rowlet. But I do have, of course, Skirpy here to absorb Toxic Spikes and stuff like that. But it does also get Spikes, so that's what I was expecting versus his side. It could also just leave Baltoy, and if you let Baltoy versus Cubone, that kind of suck. So ideally, I don't know why I led Cubone, but I went with it, and I stuck with it. So, coming in versus Tyler, not a Fortnite match. We're luckily doing Pokemon. Tyler is amazing at Fortnite. This is a competitive TK side. He's going to lead off with Monsters Inc. versus my Fred, and that happens to be his Yamask. I want to know why it's called Monsters Inc. though. I don't get the reference there. But either way, I'm going to switch out my Keybone and just go right into Ceratops, because of the potential Lilith coming out here. It's really helpful for my team in Pokemon like Archon and Pawniard, and especially Keybone. But he decides to go for the knockoff because you're in my Charcoal. I'm like, that's totally fine. Charmander was my most flexible Pokemon for this match, considering he did not give me the Sun I wanted. So I'm just going to go for the Fire Blast. If he goes into Mantike, I kill with Thunder Punch right after. Like I mentioned before, I do not need the Sun for that, for the Fire Blast roll or anything like that. I'll just go for the Thunder Punch here, and I do knock out the Mantike. In case you wanted to switch, predicting it like into Baltoy or whatever, I'm totally fine with that. Once again, this Charmander is the least of my problems. The least helpful for my team. And he will go into Baltoy here after the knockout. Now I'm just clicking Fire Blast versus this Baltoy to mainly check what it is. And if he was a Spadef Eviolite variant, like he is, I wouldn't two-shot him. But if he was any other variant, like not Eviolite, not like almost max Spadef, Fire Blast would have two-shot him here. I knew he was probably going for Stealth Rocks. Once again, I'm keeping Charmander in because there's a few things here. One, I weaken Baltoy or potentially knock it out for Cubone to sweep. Two, I get to scout what kind of Baltoy he is, so it's easier to deal with him if I don't knock him out into Fire Blast here, and he just kills me with Earth Power immediately. So that was my reasoning behind just keeping Charmander in and getting rid of Baltoy. It benefited me a lot more because Charmander, I felt like, didn't do as much without the Sun. Because he brought more of a bulky team that kind of deal with it a little bit better. Right here was kind of a mistake. I should have went into my Pawniard, not only for the rock resist, but it's like I kind of bait the pursuit and not be able to force him to switch, so Cubone could have been able to sweep later on. But I went into Lickitung and just went for the knockoff. I stayed in here versus Tyrogue because if he was Guts like bulk upset or something of the sort, I wanted to make sure I get rid of his Flame Orb. But he goes for a Fake Out and he does show to still be Guts. Right here I'm going to go right into my Skorupi, and he's going to go for a massive Brick Rake right here, and it does 1 HP to me. Hold up, let me update the slides. I totally forgot that. But like this Tyrogue does like nothing. As long as he doesn't flinch me here, I'm getting off a Poison Jab with my Skorupi just so this thing can be easily revenged after. I knew this thing was going to be carrying the Mach Punch in the back for getting Archon and Fetus. I probably wouldn't knock it out. And then definitely taking out the Pawniard. What am I trying to take out here? I'm taking off Baltoy, taking off Mantike. He'll go for the Rock Slide a second time and just take me out. Now I'm going into Lickitung here, and I will show y'all why in a second. What got knocked out on my team? Charmander. And now Skorupi. Okay, so I'm going to go into Lickitung here. Now, even if he's Adamant, Guts, Flame Orb, which he is, I'm pretty sure he is. Even if he's Jolly or whatever, it does make a difference. I'm gonna bring y'all over to the calc real quick. So he was like, so he goes for the Brick Break here, not expecting me to be Choice Scarf, and he gets pretty upset by it. But I'm just gonna point out the Mach Punch doesn't matter. If you can see in the calc right here, 250, you can't see it. It's on, you can see it on the right hand side. That's 252 Adamant. But on the left hand side, it doesn't show it in the actual calc. 252 Adamant, Guts, Tyrogue, Flame Orb, Burned. Does only 56 to 72% with a Mach Punch to Lickitung. I made this calc during the battle, and I went into Lickitung just because I felt like it was my safest bet. Now, as you can see right here, for y'all that don't know about calcs, this shows the odds of which the rolls that are going to take place. Now this 14 is the amount of HP, so there is this 94% chance that it only does 56% to my Lickitung. And Lickitung, after Stealth Rocks, was sitting at 57%. So there was my reasoning right there for 1,000,000% going to Lickitung, because even though it seemed like it could potentially knock me out because he's got all these boosts, Tyrogue is just so incredibly weak, and Lickitung is still fat even though I'm not running it fat with Eviolite. Like, it's actually funny how just a normal bulky Eviolite that could actually probably still wall this Tyrogue. But, so he has a 6% chance to do, hit that 18 roll right there. As you can see, it's 6.3% chance to 1 KO. That's because I put my Lickitung in the 57% range. But that just shows how wide rolls are in Little Cup when it goes from 56 to 72. That's pretty insane. But I just want to show my reasoning behind this play. I knew that there was a very, very solid chance that he could not knock me out. So I was really comfortable here. And that's why I just want to go into Lickitung, and I'm going to lock myself into Earthquake. in case he was just expecting me for some reason to be a speedy Lickitung, in case he is adamant and then or anything like that. Even though he probably at this point expects me to be Choice Scarf. So he'll just go into his Venipede here in a Bug's Life, and I was kind of surprised by this. And like, I'm just gonna spam Earthquake. This is like the same thing once again, where it's where it's Lickitung versus Venipede. Sorry, versus Venipede. Lickitung versus no, like Charmander versus Baltoy. I just want to take it down while it's getting up all these hazards. Now, to be completely honest, there's probably a good chance to where I could have just went Cubone and set up Freely versus Venipede. I didn't think about it at the time necessarily, but I also forgot Venipede's speed boost. Like, if it has any decent coverage, there's still a chance that it might actually take out Cubone when it gets below the 25% mark to get its Salac Berry. So I was kind of worried about that, so I'm just keeping Lickitung in. He goes for the Rock Smash. Deathly told me he was pretty upset he didn't get the 50% Rock Smash defense drop. I'm like, it's 50%. But Lickitung just could be able to 3 KO the Venipede right here. I was kind of upset that it was kind of bulky with the spikes, but it kind of makes sense to make sure it gets up those very reliable hazard leads, or being a very reliable lead with hazards. But he'll go into his Helioptile here. I'm like, I'm just gonna take this out if he's not Scarf, and if he's Scarf, then I'm in a good spot right here because I just go into Cubone and set up. But I will just go right into my Pawniard after this, knowing that he is 1,000,000% Scarf. If he was Scarf and locked himself into a legendary move, Cubone set up, and then unfortunately he was just still Choice Scarf, so I couldn't win necessarily. But I'd be able to take out the Yamask. We're in the same scenario here. Because I go for the knockoff 1,000,000%. If he wants to go into Yamask, I can't risk going for the Sucker Punch. There's no reason for him to stay in anyways, because the knockoff would knock out a Helioptile if he decided to stay in. Knowing a Surf would not knock me out since he's Choice Scarf. So I'm just going to go for 2 knockoffs versus this Yamask. He had Cobra Berry, didn't make a difference because I'm still going to knock out with the following one. Adamant Life Orb is just too strong. He just gives me the Mummy ability, but I have Defiance, so it doesn't really bother me too much. And right here, okay, Sucker Punch. I have a good chance to knock him out. Let me actually pull up this calc. Yeah, I had this calc up. Okay, so as you can see, my Sucker Punch. Oh, what? Oh, I did not have a chance to knock him out. Oh, this was a different set. Alright, Adamant Life Orb. Alright, Sucker Punch. 1,000,000% to knock him out. So I guess he just had like some HP investment. Oh, what? Is it like max HP? Okay, but either way, Sucker Punch basically had a good chance to kill this Helioptile if he was Choice Scarf and everything like that. But I have Modest over here in the calc, as you can see, and if he was Modest with Surf, with my Pawniard at, his Pawniard was at 57%. Yeah, Pawniard was at 57%. I don't remember what Slowpoke was at earlier. Slowpoke was at, or sorry, not Slowpoke, Lickitung. Lickitung was at a similar percentage, but no percent, 1,000,000% Pawniard was at this, because that's why it's currently at this. These are 2 different calcs, I'm stupid. They just both happen to be at 57. My Pawniard, as you can see, Surf 47.6 to 57.1. After I go for a knockoff right here and take a Life Orb Recoil, I'm at 57%. If he's Modest and he gets Max Roll, which is once again, just like before, 6%, I will be knocked out and lose this game, unless he crits. Because he wants to be locked in the Surf. Surf knocks out Archon, potentially. And Surf 1,000,000% knocks out Cubone. It's kind of a roll on Archon, but since I'm not coming in on any hazards, I should take the Surf and I should live. The exception was if he was Modest, but I'm assuming he was timid. Actually, it doesn't matter because 15 and 16 is the same damage roll for both attack and special attack. So either way, he was doing the same damage to Archon. There was a chance he could knock me out. I'm pretty sure it came down to just whether he Surf crit, because it really didn't make a difference in damage. 57, 56%, whatever it is. You just have to rely on like Surf crits from here on out. But as you can see in the battle, after I go for the Sucker Punch, we do not knock out this Helioptile. Makes me really question how much bulk he had, because that did nothing based off the calcs, which is kind of crazy. But he'll go for the Hidden Power Fighting versus my Pawniard and just knock me out instead of going for the Surf. So I was kind of surprised by that. Surf was his best bet at winning because I do come in on Stealth Rock. See, Archon actually dies because of Stealth Rocks. I totally forgot about that. I think there was a chance of me living it, but either way, he just goes for the Hidden Power, not relying on the potential Surf knockout on my Pawniard. And I just go for the knockoff and I kill it, and we pick up the game and we win 2-0. I was really surprised by this because, you know, Surf was his only potential win con. I mean, it really came down to rolls or a potential crit, as well as the percentage I was at after Life Orb. He couldn't exactly tell based off just the bar, really. But I'm surprised he just locked himself in Empire Fighting. I felt like Surf, you know, was his only potential win. But he didn't go for it. It was less stressful. It didn't come down right down to the wire. So we do pick up the win 2-0 versus Deathly, which was really nice. He was really surprised about some of the stuff I brought, especially like Scarf Like a Tongue and stuff like that. He even said his front office was like, "This is not how Ben preps. I'm really confused." I was like, I don't know who it is, but they're like, I mean, I like to change it up. I mean, you have to bring some stuff that's unexpected. And Choice Scarf Like a Tongue for like weather is actually pretty cool sometimes because it does have a decent attack stat and everything. But so we won 2-0 this week. We're at a comfortable 3-2 after this week, or is this week 6? 4-2? 4-2. This is week 6. We're at 4-2 after week 6. So we got 4-2 plus something. I don't remember what it is. But I'm very happy that we're picking up the dubs now. We're doing pretty well, and I hope that continues to happen. Next week we should be taking on Panther, my boy. Even though Kelly retorted my video this week, shoutouts to Kelly, I will be probably facing Panther or his AC because he's going on vacation. But Panther records my videos, so he can read me like a book. So that's to be an interesting battle next week if I do end up facing Panther, if he doesn't go on vacation first. But that'll be it for me this week, guys. Make sure to sub, like, share, deuces.